hello and welcome to Real Talk with the Cummings. And so glad you guys are joining us yet again for another week of Real Talk.
Real talk, real issues.
That's what we're all about.
Real life.
Yep.
And our camera's not level.
Okay.
Bummer.
Is that better?
It's better. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you know, that's
cameraman and me that just wants to fix things.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, you know, you were looking through some old stuff. We're not the most liked people.
No, we're not really. You know, and there's lots of people that don't like us at all, and that's fine.
I really don't care.
You know, there's always the person who always puts a
thumbs down before the show even starts. By the way,
it's like,
you know,
give us at least a chance to say something before you want to like torch us, you know, with the comment. Or
I want to tell you straight out, you know, people don't like people that are truthful, that are flat out speaking their minds. They only like the peanut gallery, you know, the kind that goes, "Oh, honey, you're so beautiful," and tell people great, even though they look like barf. You know, we're not going to be those people. We're going to tell you as we see it, and it's important because there needs to be two sides to everything. Everything can't be the cheerleading squad. I mean, it's just
somewhere along the line, reality has to be explained to people, and the reality is that there are a lot of people that are not well in this community. There are a lot of people that are struggling with issues that have absolutely nothing to do with gender.
Nothing.
Okay? Nothing. I mean, they can sugarcoat it as a gender issue and maybe in their mind, you know, think that that could be the problem.
Yep.
But the real problem lies elsewhere. And even in transition, they still end up doing things that they're not happy with, you know. I mean, it's
after everything's said and done, even after they've completed their checklist of things that they needed and wanted to do, and they've done it all, and they're still unhappy, they're still depressed and anxious and miserable and suicidal. And so my question is, people are spending all this money, all this effort, all this energy, losing jobs, losing friends, losing family. And in the end,
all for what?
All for what?
Yeah, I mean, to just not be able to fix yourself. I mean, even though you think that gender is the problem and that once you fix it and you get all your things done and everything's like in this perfect world, but what you're finding out now is that 40+% of people that are post-op trans are the ones that are still suicidal.
You know, McHugh's and the Hopkins Center had it right, you know, when they did the study, and was it Switzerland or Sweden or whatever. It doesn't help. I mean, if you're doing this, and this is sincerity here, if you're doing this in hopes to make yourself happy, to alleviate depression, to alleviate anxiety, then you're barking up the wrong tree. You're looking in the wrong place. You need to fix yourself inside. All the issues, all the problems that stem from childhood, from not liking yourself, for whatever reason, from wanting to escape that reality. You need to fix that. And then if you still feel that, okay, I want to express a certain way, then by all means. And you know what? Expressing is a beautiful thing. I mean, if you're trying to make yourself a project, like most people, they have this big old list, and it's a project. I got to get this done and that done. I'm going to put this in and put that. If you have to do all that, in my opinion, then are you really who you're saying you are?
You can't be.
You can't be. I mean, it's just,
if you're just full of lots of plastic surgery and silicone and implants and
just
all this stuff. I mean, it's like, I was just watching a video of a trans-identified person that we admire online, that we look to them. We've interviewed them in the past on our program back in 2016. I think it was when we lived in Florida. And they were talking about going the natural route and everything. And and dropping their hormone use as if they were very addictive to substances and stuff before. And they just went this pure route, you know. And I recently watched the video that they did, and I was just like so like disappointed, you know. I mean, it's like you think that people are learning and they're growing and they're adjusting and they're becoming more enlightened and stuff
and pure,
and it's like, is it just a game? Is it just like some like, you know, like altered personality that gets inside of a person, and they end up like turning into like, you know, I mean, this person was doing all these sexual kinds of movements and stuff like that, and talking about how their sugar daddy just bailed on them and took off and left them alone, and now they're having to fend for themselves, and they're webcamming still, and they're selling their body, and you know, and it's like but then they're talking about being so like, you know,
spiritual and
wholesome. I just don't know who this person is.
I could truly say what I've seen and observed. There's definitely a touch of personality disorder in a lot of trans people, you know, and you're going to see that back and forth and the voices in the head. And there's another trans guy by the name of Ty who made a video the other day. It was very disturbing to me. The different types of, and they're going through something at the moment where they felt a bit of dysphoria, because they're starting to grow breasts again, and it's like, you know, that has sent them into some sort of spin, you know, and you see this often. Like this trans guy, a friend of mine by the name of Devin, I won't mention their last name, who put up a post yesterday that they miss who they were, that at least people liked them then, now people think he's an asshole, and
didn't he say something about, at least when I was a female presenting, I was a bitch or something?
But you know, people respect
now
it.
I'm an asshole if I act the same way.
Right. And he's been struggling, or they've been struggling with, you know, the gender thing back and forth. And I've known them since 2005. So they tagged me on this post, and he writes in the comment, Mark Angelo Cummings, you and I became friends in 2005. You inspired me to transition. I started in 2006, but on androgel, very small dose. I was scared to do more. I was a health freak and I didn't like drugs. Then finally I did injections in 2008.
You get addicted to it quick. It feels good. You get jacked up on it. You think it's making you stronger when really it's not. It's weakening your body. It's destroying you. It's killing you. How it affects each person's health is different. I'm seeing stroke, autoimmune diseases, neurological disease, liver disease, etc., etc.
I was in perfect shape my whole life. I exercised regularly, ate healthy, didn't do drugs, drank alcohol in moderation. When I got sick from testosterone 3 years ago, it was out of nowhere and happened fast.
My T level shot up to 1,525, 3 times the normal range. I became very sick, and when I tried to tell people in my LGBT community that the testosterone was making me sick, no one believed me. I was ridiculed and abandoned. Even my own doctor didn't believe me.
I was partially bedridden for 2 years, but I persevered. I found an excellent endocrinologist. She helped me get well along with other specialists. I did meditation and took supplements. Now that I'm strong again, it's time to tell people the truth.
I don't care if it makes people mad. I don't care if people don't like me for saying it. Laying in bed sick and alienated for 2 years didn't feel too great. This is not going to feel like that.
This, speaking out, healed and strong, will feel damn good. It will feel like fighting back, fighting for what's right, maybe saving some lives, speaking the truth.
Yay for him.
Right? And I'm like, okay, they tagged me, so I went ahead, you know, and supported what they wrote, shared a little bit of my experience of what I think about testosterone use. Some links, you know, some other trans guy goes in there and say, you're spreading misinformation, and started fighting with me, the typical scenario. And so, you know, it got pretty heated up, and I put some links or whatever. So this morning when I woke up, I was expecting to have more interaction. I looked
The post was gone.
So I write to Devin, and let me get the. I wrote, hey, did you remove your post? And they write, just made it private while I went to bed. You know, I wanted to be awake while people are commenting on it. I needed to make sure nothing horrible happens while I'm not able to monitor it. You can understand.
It still exists. I just made it private so no one could see it or comment while I was asleep. The way things can get out of hand on Facebook and so quick, I don't want to take chances not being able to monitor this kind of topic.
I'll make it public again as soon as I'm fully awake. Don't worry. So here it is, 3 o'clock, you know, and I sent some sort of like little dinosaur with a thumbs up. I said, in order to educate, because they were adamant about, you know, no, they don't care who's going to make people tell the truth, you know, and I said, in order to educate, you can't be fearful of the interaction that will take place. Making something private until you wake up and are able to monitor everything it says on it, you know. In fact, you should expect it. You know, you're gonna, when you speak truth, be darn sure you're gonna get people attacking you. I mean,
especially in the trans community.
Yes,
if you say anything that goes against the written standard, you know.
Yes,
accepted
the party line. Yes. So, I said, in fact, you should expect it. So here's an article from a trans site that explains the side effects. Most trans people are in denial. You know, they think that nothing's going to happen. Oh, that's genetic men that get that side effect. We don't. Well, it's even worse for biofemale that are on testosterone. Note that it is not healthy. I mean, I'm back on it. I'm on a small dose because I have no ovaries, and I usually cycle on and off because that's what I do. And I've been able to do this, and it's been 16 years since I've been on testosterone. But make no mistakes. I know that it's bad for me. I'm not dumb. I'm not stupid. I know that I'm playing Russian roulette. That's why I do everything that I can to keep my health. You know, I'm vegan, I exercise, I do all sorts of good things to try to prevent problems.
Oh, Mira says hello. Hi, Mira.
Hello, Mira.
From Canada.
How you doing? Anyway, they write, and this person is a loose cannon, by the way. I mean, I've had this type of interaction with them before. They're, in my opinion, they're very bipolar. I'm not fearful of interaction, exclamation, exclamation, exclamation. Don't jump to conclusions about me or what I'm thinking or doing.
I just told you I do not want to leave my wall unmonitored during interaction and posting. I have that right, exclamation.
I have personal reasons for this, exclamation. Don't tell me how to handle my posts. I never told them how to handle their posts. I just said, listen, you know, if you're really, because I mean, they're like planning, they were planning to go on this brigade about, you know, and I'm kind of giving them a little advice and be leery of what's going to take place. And you can't be fearful.
Right.
You know, hiding posts whenever you're unable to, you know, monitor it. I mean, that ain't going to get you anywhere. So I said, Devin, please do me a favor. Don't tag me on anything. I put myself on the line to help you out. I mean, I got this guy really down my throat that it was in the interaction for no, you know, just for helping Devin out. And now you're going all postal on me?
F off. I am done.
And I said, you're a bipolar mess.
You're always bossing people around, a-hole.
I said, you need help.
C.
Arrogant, A. Narcissist. He writes, I said, the pot calling the kettle black? And he says the C word, you know, and I said, that's what I get for helping you out. You are one messed up person. I've not called you any names and you're just spewing out profanity.
People hate you for a reason, Mark.
I said, right, because I speak the truth, you know.
And then block.
Block, yes, because that's, you know, that's the way it goes. You know, a person that's, I'm just like you, Mark. You know, you and I have been
transition at the same
time. We're buddies,
we're
and yeah.
You know, and it's like, you know, more times than not, you know, I've learned, and this is no dissing on social media friends or anything, and there are many of you, some of you, few, that I have actually met face to face, and I'm glad for that. But for the most part,
oh gosh, yeah.
I mean, I don't know who I'm talking to.
Yeah.
One time they could be acting one way, and then another time they're acting a totally different way. It's like, here's the case in point. Devin is like totally open and willing to share, and this is not the first time Devin's come out trying to go guns blazing with this whole, I'm gonna, next thing you know, they're gonna be on some TV show advocating for, the removal of testosterone and stuff like that. But, the fact remains that they say one thing, and then just 2 minutes later, it's like another person inside their body.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah, and I've had that. I mean, I've known Devin since 2005. Spoke to him on the phone, giving him advice. They were very sick at one point, and I was trying to help them with nutritional and stuff like that. Because I do that for a lot of trans guys, and then I always get slapped in the face. I mean,
you always get sucker punched at the end, and like you say, si no lo hacen a la entrada, lo hacen a la salida. It means that if they don't take a crap on your door when you first come in, they're going to take a crap on your door afterwards.
Yeah, and that's been my experience with a lot of trans guys and trans women. I mean, it's
really unfortunate and sad. And I'm serious. I don't know if people are going to get offended by this, but there's a lot of people that need a lot of help, and it's not gender that needs help. It's coping with life and dealing with the realities that we have been presented with. Giving, an understanding to the fact that our bodies are what they are, that they will never change, that they can't change no matter what we do, whatever surgeries that we may or may not want, no matter how many times we break our face, how many times we say Hail Mary and pray to Jesus to change us and to make us into another sex. It's not going to happen. Right. Trigger warning for those that are still expecting it to happen, but it won't happen.
And the only way you're going to find true happiness is by accepting who you are. I mean, that is the only way. It doesn't mean that you can't express in the gender that you feel you are, the gender that you would like to be, but realize that the more you do to yourself, the more you break down the body, the more you alter the chemicals in the body, the sicker you're going to get. And in the long run, it's not going to be pretty, And
the fact is that, post-op trans women that are older who make it to old age, because many don't make it to old age, but there are many out there that will say, I sit with a group. We were just listening to a trans woman talking about her experiences in a women's group in a retreat setting that she was in or something. I casually heard what she was talking about. And she's like, and they're talking about this, that, and the other, but I can't relate because I didn't have that past. And it's like,
and I couldn't share.
And then there's like younger trans women who talk about the same thing. And they're like, and my friends are all having babies and they, I could pass this just perfectly. I look and feel and everything, and nobody has anything against me for being this, for being me. And, but I can't relate to what they're going through.
Right.
And it's like, and I feel like I'm shut out and I never will. And I need to find community where I can relate with people who understand me. And it's like, yes, that's the sad reality. I mean,
and it doesn't matter how young you transition, because
it doesn't.
It's still, it's still a mind F. It's really because you're talking to other people, and you're trying to relate, but you really can't. As a matter of fact, you have something to share.
Well, we had that on. Let me see. I think I have it here. Hi everyone, and this is a young trans or a mid-aged trans person.
That's right.
Transitioned a long time ago. I'm new here, and this is on the Ask Transgender Reddit board if you guys are interested in looking it up. My name is Julia. I'm 32, and I'm from Italy. Didn't know if I had to present myself in the presentation section, but I'll do it here. I started HRT at 18 and did my SRS at 21. Fully changed papers at 22.
Accepting family and friends, always had boyfriends, and lived happily as the girls I was supposed to be. I'm 117 centimeter tall, always passed without any major surgeries, but I had my chin and jaw shaved by Bart last year. Never had a problem finding a job or to socialize. My TS friends describe me as the poster childhood for successful transition.
All of this looks amazing on the outside, but inside, I am broken. As broken as you will ever imagine. I had the luck of a body that perfectly matched the one of a cis woman. The face bone structure was good. It got better with HRT and surgery. I have a high-pitched voice since I was a child, small hands, and a 7 shoe size.
It's like the dream of what most trans women would like to have.
Yeah, totally.
The bottom surgery went so well that no one of my boyfriends ever guessed. It looked like I'm bragging, but I'm not. I'm trying to explain my situation. I'm a fraud. I felt like I'm the biggest fraud of them all. Even though I'm technically perfect as a woman, I feel as a woman, I felt like a carbon copy, a fake.
I look at myself in the mirror and I still don't like what I see. I just see a man that poses as a woman. This thought leads me to sex work, to gain money for surgeries. I know I don't need to chase a look that I know I can't have. Unrealistic expectations? Yeah. All I ever wanted was to be a normal girl, cis woman. And at 30, I started realizing that I'm not, that I can't have children, that I will be a fraud for the rest of my life.
I don't know how to escape from this whole, I can't accept what I am. I can't accept I'm a trans girl. So the suicidal thoughts began, the depression, the isolation. The question is, do I have to accept being a trans girl? How can I live a life feeling as a fake when I'm near a real woman? Oh my God, I feel like a boy in a dress. Somebody who transitioned very young, because 18, that's still,
yeah.
I mean, a lot of people
picture
were
perfect.
I mean, as picture, so.
Picture perfect.
So imagine that. And like that person, there are thousands, although many won't speak up. I have a friend, very close friend of mine. Beautiful. Actually, I interviewed them, although I removed the interview because of their request. Had it all done, went to the best doctors. They were a male model, made money up the kazoo. Beautiful as a man.
On every major fashion magazine.
Yes, I mean, they were like all over the world. Beautiful as a man and beautiful as a woman. They detransitioned, stopped the hormone. They had the surgery, everything. Went through a mental breakdown. Didn't want anything to do with being trans. Said they lost their soul. They were just so upset, suicidal. I mean, my heart broke. Is that this person was just an amazing human being. So like that, there's many. And I think to myself, what has this solved for these people? You know,
I mean, you know, you yourself. I mean, you could relate to this post
exactly
as a trans man.
Yeah, because
everything went perfect for you.
Yeah, and people go, "Oh, the transition didn't work out for you." I'm sorry, but you know, I've lived as a man. All my paperwork, everything worked. No one even had a clue.
You know, Mark doesn't struggle with a lot of the things that many I see trans men, online YouTubers struggle with. I mean, they still have, you know, unfortunately for them, testosterone doesn't produce in them a lower range on their vocal cord and stuff like that. And they don't sound like men necessarily, and their bodies still have
a lot of female
attributes to it. And a lot of them don't have the opportunity or don't think it's important enough to get a hysterectomy after being on testosterone for a certain amount of years. And that only leads to more problems. I don't believe your friend Devin ever had hysterectomy.
They still have other parts.
So although they say that they're like you, they're nothing like you because they didn't do the things you did. They didn't undergo a 7-hour procedure that removed both your breasts and cleaned you out from the inside. I mean, it's like, you know, doctors recommend that trans men get hysterectomies in order to.
After 5 years of being on
Yeah.
testosterone,
So-
you're looking at ovarian cancer, uterine cancer, a whole bunch of different things and complications.
Still breast
and even breast cancer,
cancer
yeah,
can happen because
testosterone can do that.
Right.
You know? And it's not the testosterone. Let me explain. Even with all the complications that Devin has had, at that 1,500 and something, your estrogen level is going to shoot up because the body,
the aromatase
the aromatase process. What happens is what goes up must come down. So testosterone goes up, estrogen goes up. You know, because the body's trying to like, whoa, what are you doing? What are you doing with me? So the body's going to go through homeostasis. And that's what happens. And estrogen has a lot of bad side effects, as many cis women who are estrogen dominant see. You know, they have a lot of health issues, a lot of emotional issues because of the high estrogen.
We have a cis woman friend of ours at the gym who is dealing with estrogen dominance related issues and from taking progesterone.
Yeah.
Progesterone supposedly.
Because she went through the menopause, doesn't want to go on estrogen, so she decided to use progesterone.
But
it backfired. Estrogen, the receptors, you know,
get turned on.
Yeah.
And it changes the progesterone, testosterone variant into estrogen.
Yeah. So
yeah.
I mean, we could paint it as beautiful as we want. We think that there's a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. When you get to the end of the rainbow and you find a pot of gold. You know, and not saying that it doesn't work out for everybody. I'm sure there's some people out there that it's worked out for. I've yet to personally meet anyone who is completely happy and satisfied, who has gotten rid of their depression, their anxiety, and all the mental angst that they came with on the table. That's why I said, if you're expecting some miracle from this, you're going to be disappointed. You need to know the good, the bad, and the ugly.
And I look at a friend of mine that I knew personally that I was in a relationship with early on in my transition. I look at their Facebook page and see how affected they've been by the decisions they've decided to make in their lives. They decided to remove their testicles, and basically once a born male decides to remove that vital part of them, they start aging in a precipitous way that just absolutely, you showed me a picture just recently.
Oh,
they look like they're 70 years old.
A person who's 50.
Their hair is like straw. Yeah. It's not healthy. This is a person who was vibrant, full of life, happy, would make videos all the time, and was always encouraging and helping people, and a big advocate and stuff. And all they're dealing with now is lots of health issues, possible cancer that they're alluding to. I don't know if they have it or not, but struggles with all kinds of things. And it's like, you know, these gender surgeries, I mean, they're not what they're cracked up to be. I mean, it's like, we have another article.
And before we read that article, I want to explain to people, when you start removing gonads, you know, that produce hormones that your body needs, you're going to have issues. You're going to, everything from your thyroid to your adrenal to your pituitary, you name it, everything's going to be thrown off, because every hormone in your body plays with another hormone in your body, and it's all very balanced. You start messing with things, you're going to mess with your health. You know, that's how the body works. People get lucky. The body is very resilient. Some people could go a good 5-10 years without a problem, but then before you know it, bingo, it hits you. Whether you get cancer, stroke, heart attack, diabetes, something's going to happen. It's not if, but when. Because that, you know, you're messing with synthetics in your body. If you look at commercials, any kind of medication has side effects.
And it's not just trans-related medications and hormone, you know, artificial hormones and stuff, synthetic. It's everything that they make, everything pharmaceuticals make.
Yeah.
Everything. I don't care if it's aspirin. I don't care if it's Viagra,
anything.
I don't care if it's medicine for a cough. It's a pharmaceutical that will have side effects.
Yeah. It's how it goes. And then, you know, if you're planning to take this train ride, realize that it's going to be a train wreck. You know, You got to be careful what you put in your body. If you want to transition, this is my, what's the word I'm looking for? My advice and opinion and everything else. There are people, and I'm not trying to be mean, there are people that just really shouldn't even look at this. Because if you're older and you have no androgyny to you, and you think that modern science is going to work miracles on you, that it's going to be able to change you from an ugly dude to a beautiful princess, you're really, you're like fishing there. It's not going to happen. You're going to find yourself in a world of pain and a world of ridicule. Save yourself, your money, your health, and the hassle. If you're an androgynous person, that you could blend in with society. When people look at you, because people are very visual. People are going to look at you and they're going to go, okay, we know that. But hey, pleasantly, okay, brave, whatever, the words people use. But if you stick out like a sore thumb or sore thumb, know that you're going to be ridiculed. Know that you're going to be in a world of pain. You think you were in a world of pain before? What's going to happen?
And this whole thing that many that are not trans and they decide, to be supportive and are allies and stuff, use the word brave. I mean, it's like, really? Is that what this is? Is this? It's almost like disingenuous to hear it, because it's like, I don't feel like I'm brave for doing this. I just did it, but it doesn't mean that I'm brave.
Yeah, it's
and walking down the street, and someone that really has a hard time passing it all with any, as far as being pleasant to look at as a person, for someone just walking down the street and they make fun of them. I mean, that's not brave that they're walking out in the street like that, looking as they do, because I mean, it's like that. It doesn't help them,
and it doesn't help anyone. It doesn't help anyone for crying. Somebody to look at you and just get pissed off because they think you're just some abomination or something. It's like, save yourself the hassle. And this is I'm not trying to be mean. I'm trying to be saving you the hassle and the pain that you're going to go through. Work on your traumas, work on your issues. Try to heal yourself. Try to love yourself as you are. Because I'm telling you, these therapists and these doctors, all they want is your money. And they're going to tell you what you want to hear. Because they don't care.
They just I had a therapist back in 2014 that I went to. And I just remember, whenever it was almost time up, she was looking at her watch, and she was counting it down so that she could get the other appointment in. And it was and then if we went over 2 minutes, maybe I was sharing something. Oh, sorry, Lena, we're going to have to
wrap
this up and
talk about it
next week.
Yeah.
And it's oh, and by the way, what's your Minnesota care card, number? I need that insurance information. Don't think that they care. They don't.
All they want is your money.
They want money. There's a university something opening some training center in their university medical something for trans care. And it's not because people care about trans people. It's because there's lots of money. And insurances are now open to trans-related surgeries and stuff. And although it's all well and wonderful for trans people, supposedly, it's disaster for the system, because these surgeries are not cheap.
They're not.
And
it's not a one-time deal.
They're destructive.
Yeah, and that's not a one-time deal.
And there are revisions that have to happen.
And then more and more, and then other health issues. I mean, it's just putting a burden on society in general. And, I say spend your money, on getting behavioral therapy, on trying to really learn how to cope and deal and really go to a hypnotherapist, you know, to find out regression of what's going on, you know, because, you know, gender is not the problem.
In about probably 90% of all cases, it's really not.
That's right.
It's really not the problem. I mean, I know that, you know, gender dysphoria is not the root.
No, it's not. It's not. Because if
That's
it was,
in the transgender community,
people that transition and have their surgery and have everything done,
they would be successful
and they would feel
after
complete.
Success story.
Yeah.
And here's a post-op trans woman talking about her inability to experience pleasure and orgasm. And I saw some pictures recently of some vaginoplasty results. I mean, there's like this gross discharge.
Oh my God, all the time.
It's like green, slimy looking.
It's infection.
And I was like,
it's infection.
is that like some kind of like mucusy?
That's infection. Remember what happens. You know, the cavity of a bio male is totally different from the cavity of a female. They go in, sometimes they nick the intestine. Whatever that wound, because they have to do graft. Those graft ooze and they get infection, and they call it vaginosis. It's not vaginosis. You have to have a vagina to have vaginosis. This is a cavity. And from this cavity, you get a ton of infection. We saw some of the pictures and the smell and the odor. And they have to go on antibiotic and they have to put some sort of suppositories. And it's like a lifelong battle.
I mean, that's not the purpose that genetic women wear panty liners.
Right.
They don't wear it for discharge of like a cavity that's open that wants to shut. I mean, it's more for menstrual discharge. It's for, you know, different things than what, you know, we've been reading about, you know. So she writes, and this is also on Ask Transgender on Reddit. I think a lot of us like to constantly remain hopeful and positive, as transitioning is pretty awful enough without the additional problems. The issue with this is that we sometimes fail to accept that sometimes some of us are, capitalized there, broken by SRS.
Some of us come from out the other and completely void of any kind of sexual function, at least in the genital region. When people give all of the Cosmo-esque advice about foreplay and romantic literature, they fail to understand that when you have nothing, zero, nada in that genital region, a flick through 50 Shades of Grey isn't going to suddenly fill you with vitality.
One can't experience pleasure, let alone orgasm, from reading erotica and rubbing their kneecap, which is about as much sensation as my genitalia has now. 2 years post-op. Okay, this is like the truth from a trans woman who has been recovering from her SRS, still has no sensation, and basically, you know, can't experience pleasure. Can't experience pleasure.
Nerve damage. I mean, I know that my nipples, because they were grafted and whatever, all I feel is pain. There's no pleasure. You know, when nerves get cut up and there's nerve damage, you're not going to feel anything but pain. There comes a point where it's probably healthier to just accept that surgery went wrong. And a lot of what most women are capable of sexually, you aren't, and it sucks. But we have to get over it somehow.
Clitoris? What clitoris?
Up here, don't worry.
Oh, and don't worry. I get you. I get you about the masturbating and becoming depressed thing. But it's been 2 years for me, and I have absolutely nothing resembling pleasure downstairs, and it sounds like you're in the same boat. So I have been actively trying to accept it and move on somehow.
Clitoris? What clitoris? Vibrators? No. May as well put it on my thigh. Penetration? What for? My prostate or G-spot has completely died from all the years of HRT to the point where I can't actually locate it nor feel it. A lot of trans women don't realize that years of estrogen makes their prostate shrink. Therefore, you know, whatever they did used to feel before and have the orgasm, that it's going to be gone. It's not going to be there anymore.
I am not trying to be a negative Nancy. I am just being realistic. Nor am I saying that you are broken. I'm just saying you could be, which is a reality a lot of people here don't want to acknowledge. By broken, I don't mean anything bad, just purely that you no longer function sexually.
You have my utmost sympathy as I had my surgery at 21 and I'm now 23. I know the feeling of utter despair and jealousy related to losing everything downstairs, especially as a young person who's supposed to be in their sexual prime of their life.
The only thing I get from attempting to feel something or anything downstairs is sexual frustration and depression. And this is, the realities, I mean, I've been actively trying to discourage a friend of mine that I met in Minnesota from having SRS. She's scheduled to have it on the 19th of October. Mm-hmm. She is absolutely a depressive person dealing with all kinds of self-hatred issues that she just doesn't like herself. That, as a person, doesn't matter if they're gendered female, gendered male, the same problem exists. And I'm just trying to encourage them to look at other options, because once you pursue this road, and it's, I mean, there's so many that think that they're going to be like able to be sexually active and have a pleasure and joy and orgasm and ways to climax in ways that they never knew, and they felt like they were been robbed from experience the pleasure of being a woman. And it's like,
I don't think that a lot of people, because they're not medically savvy, they don't know what actually takes place in these surgeries and what actually is being done. You cannot create a vagina from a penis. You cannot make something out of something else. We're not Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head, that, how you switch the parts and whatever. It just, medically, it is not, it's like cosmetically, they try to make it as close to it as possible, but functionally, it's not. And that's why all the complications with urination, with even your bowel movement, because a lot of them nick your bowels, they're nicking nerves and they're creating a lot of problems, because that is not meant for doing that. They're tired. They start getting, because your body's just gone. It's like going to war. You might as well have allowed an M60 to explode in your private parts.
Basically, an IUD or whatever, the IED can explode on a war veteran coming back from Iraq or something.
Yeah, or shoot yourself. You might as well just take a gun and put a hole.
They're going to do a surgery on you if you blew up your balls and blew up your penis. And, it's like, it's going to,
it's being realistic here, people. It's like, really, come on. We're adults. Really think of what you're doing to yourself and to your body. All for what? Is that going to make you any closer to what you think you are? It's not, and it's like telling somebody that because they have a headache, let's just remove your head. It doesn't work that way. This medical community should all be trialed and imprisoned for allowing this to take place. This is just not, it's not right. And then doing it to kids, young generation of people who won't live to be past 30 because they mess with their endocrine system from such a young age.
It's really a disgustingly sad situation that many are in, because they feel that this is going to alleviate something. It's going to validate them as something of a female. And it's like, just being happy with the body that you've been given by your creator, and honor it by not destroying it. I mean, it's like, every time here in the West, in America, and in the Western world, we think that we can fix things by fast, quick solutions.
Fast food type of.
I mean, it's like constantly needing to be like satisfied and constantly find purpose and meaning in ourselves and stuff. And it's like, I don't know. It's just
like, look with them.
We're so me focused, me centered, me, everything about me. I don't like myself. I don't, it's like, and I'm just trying to give people some encouragement to do some inner working, to see what's inside that is amiss, that has gone bad, the things that they're dealing with that, I mean,
do the work.
Some scalpel and a greedy surgeon is not gonna fix your problem. You
gotta really soul search. You really gotta know who you are. I mean, find out in your hearts, who you are.
Yeah, you have to do that work. You have to be willing to do that work and stuff. And I was like, in the process of giving my friend some advice, and this other trans woman who lives with her and stuff and has been helping her, is like, hey, I think you need to like stop what you're doing because, she doesn't need to be discouraged, and you're alienating yourself from others. And I'm like, you know what? I don't really feel like I care if I'm alienating anybody. I'm just trying to bring out the truth, trying to share the truth. And, I'm not there to shame anyone. I'm not there to discourage anyone. I'm just there to give people the facts.
They need to know, this, unfortunately, in this trans community, it's only a one-sided thing. And they try to sell this as the greatest thing on earth. And the negatives are never told. And the sad stories are never shared. And that needs to happen. People need to know that it's not all candy canes and lollipops, that, things go wrong. And even after they get everything done, they're still going to be depressed, anxious. And a lot of times they're going to get worse. Because once all is said and done, then you have nothing else. You're like, well, what's next? Oh my God, I did everything and I'm still feeling like this. What's the next step? Most people think of suicide like that.
And then if you don't tell them what they want to hear, then you're all of a sudden labeled a bully.
Yeah.
And then eventually they all will block you.
Oh yeah. Because they don't want to hear
with them. Like you had Devin do to you, and I had this person do to me. And it's like,
and all we're trying to do, people, is really,
it's
it's like, just really look at the bigger picture. Ultimately, the choice is up to you. Whatever it is you're going to do, you're going to do. But, I feel that if we don't say something, if we don't, put the other, version of this trans train wreck out there, then people are just going to listen to the one party line, and then they're going to find out that, I got on this train and it's heading for our back.
Honestly, Mark and I are proud of our journey. We're proud of every single turn we've taken. We're proud of the fact that we had the guts to attempt to do transition for, the sake of others and stuff like that. It didn't work out.
Right.
But, we're proud of the fact that we looked into other avenues. We looked into Christianity. We looked into, radical feminism. We are explorers. We are people that aren't afraid to try. We're not afraid to look at a mountain and say, you know what? What's at the top of that?
Yeah.
Or what's down that road? Or what's around that corner?
Yeah.
I mean, we're willing to put ourselves out there and to make some sacrifices and stuff. And you were going through some pictures, earlier today. And when I had to transition back in 16, and you had me on testosterone.
Yeah.
And I was,
buffing
out and looking decent and stuff like that. And it's like, I see myself and I just go, you know what? I'm proud of that. I'm proud of the journey.
Yeah, because that's what it's about.
Direction that we've taken. And I'm proud of the fact that I don't have to be, presenting as one or the other, that I can do with whatever I want to do, that I'm a creator God, that I can create a more feminine version of me, or I can create a more masculine version of me. And it doesn't matter.
Yeah. And it's such a beautiful thing.
Matter.
Hello, Marty. Thank you. She says, hello, Rainbow Warriors. It's, you know, it's a journey. People take life so serious, and this is a ride. You know, this is but a mere second of time. You know, these things that we have on us aren't the real McCoy. You have an eternal life as a spirit being.
We've been grounded into these, we've been listening to a guy, his name is Derek Bros. He's called The Global Witness on YouTube. And he calls these meat suits. Yeah, I have been a studier of the Bible, and I grew up in a Christian environment. And one of the things that I remember in the Garden of Eden, you know, as the story goes, God decided to clothe the two human beings, Adam and Eve, with flesh from an animal. And I'm thinking that it wasn't that they were naked and they were given a fur coat to wear, or that Eve was given, you know, some kind of a leather, you know, bra or something. I don't know. But it was actually that this God that supposedly was so loving actually made us into beasts and put a fleshy cover on our spirit, because when we look at what we really are, and it's not this. No, this is what limits us.
This is our prison.
This is prison.
Yeah.
This is what keeps us grounded. This is what keeps us, you know, in this world.
From being able to actually ascend and transcend and go to our real creator, which is not the creator that you all have been taught to believe in. And we'll have shows on that in the future. But, you know, this whole gender thing, this whole seriousness about it, and this self-destruction is not the answer to find your happiness. Learn who you are inside, your true spirit being, you know, that beautiful male and or masculine, feminine energy that we ebb and flow with, that our true creator has given us that in spirit. You know, that beauty of being able to have both those energies and not be stuck on just one particular energy, which, you know, you can't, I could try to plug in a plug. If I remove one of the little prongs, it ain't going to work. You need both the positive and the negative. You need both your feminine and masculine energy to be a complete human being. And this is what's happening now. This is a shift that's taking place. We are learning.
And the feminine and masculine energy is not what you think it is. It's not the girly energy and the mannish energy. It's the essence of life as we know it, masculine and feminine, both.
And it's not about being all feminine and wearing lingerie, or being all masculine and building up your muscle. It's energy that flows like a yin and a yang that work so well together. You know, it's deep stuff that a lot of people may not understand, but I promise you this, it's not about tearing your body up to try to feel complete. It's about aligning your yin and your yang.
It is.
You know, that's
Marty says, testify, hands up. Yes, in yoga, it's all about balancing both energies.
Exactly. And that's what makes us happy, is by finally going within and learning who we truly are and becoming part of that great I am. You know, it's not about the material things. It's not about how much stuff you collect. It's not about how much surgeries you do to yourself, because you'll be chasing your tail like a dog trying to find happiness, and happiness is not going to achieve that way.
And, you know, recently had somebody who was talking to, they had a picture of all the stuff they bought recently in their trunk, you know, and you know, people were like, wow, I wish I could do that too. And then I was like, you know, I used to be very materialistic. I was very much stuck on things. And, you know, if it wasn't clothes, it was electronics. If it wasn't electronics, it was hats. I don't know what it was something, right? So I just posted, you know, it doesn't matter, whatever it might be, the addiction, because they gave me this excuse. Everybody wants to justify bad behavior and addictions. And they said, well, if you only knew my addictive background and how I used to be an alcoholic, and is that what you rather me do than to just buy stuff? Because everyone's going to have an addiction. It's never going to go away. Someone said, oh, addictions rewire the brain and you'll never be the same. And it's like, you know what? You're above your addictions. As a spirit being of light, you can rise above what Alcoholics Anonymous says. You're not just once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic.
That's what they want you to believe.
You had alcoholism in your family.
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, and I've had the most
dealing with
addictive personality. I was on crack cocaine, you name it. I used to smoke and drink. I've stopped it all without going to, I stopped crack without going to rehab. Just one day I was like, this stuff is going to kill me. It's not good for me. I stopped it. I stopped cigarettes. This stuff is going to kill me. Stop doing it. Drinking. This stuff is going to kill me. I stopped doing it. It's called self-love and finding an integrity within. If you love yourself, you're going to want the best for yourself.
And, you know, it's like people say, oh, addictions aren't a choice. And, you know, I mean.
That's not true.
And,
That's not
the
true.
same thing could be said about gender dysphoria, people. It's the same thing. You know, you think it's like, oh, it's not a choice. I was born this way. This is how I am. It's like, no, it's a choice. It's what we choose to do with our lives. We have a choice. I had a choice whether to stay or to go. And I chose to go. And that was my choice to do so.
I had a choice that had a thriving business as a female, you know, loved by many. I had a choice to get my hysterectomy, top surgery, change my gender, and change my life. You know, we all have choices, you know, and it's not a matter of somebody's putting a gun in your head, because before this whole transgender thing, before it was even a thing, a name or whatever, people lived their lives. You know, some lived in the gay arena, some people did stuff in their homes, whatever, but we all lived. Now, all of a sudden, they're giving us a free pass. Everyone's going to do this. You know, we see it everywhere. And of course, everyone's going to want it, because people go in stuff, they go into these, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? I hate to use the word fad. I think we're something, I don't know if that stopped or.
No, it's good. Yeah, no, it's really sad. We've allowed ourselves to devolve into as humans. We've allowed our beastly natures of this flesh consume us. And whether we're driven by money, greed, pride, ego, or, you know, gender, whatever. I mean, it's all a matter of making a decision to live your best life. And if being materialistic is not the best way to be, then that's something that we can make a decision to toss away. You know, there's things that are difficult in life to do, but we have to pull up our pants and stuff and to make a big conscious decision as grown adults and finally choose to do things that are going to give us life and make us better people, because we're here to learn.
Yeah, we're here to grow
on this planet.
You know, we're not some catastrophic atoms just bumping together and making, you know, choices out of our rear. You know, we're here for a purpose, and we're here to be of service, and we're here to grow as spirit beings. We're not here to fill up our bank accounts and work for the big man, make them rich. And, you know, there's so much more. And if you take yourself out of self and stop thinking me, and start doing things for other people, you know, it gives you purpose. And then you're no longer just sitting around thinking about yourself. Imagine if you lived in a third world country and you have to worry about not getting bombed or something. You think gender is going to be on the top of your mind, or survival is going to be on top of the list?
Yeah.
You know, we have too much time on our hands.
We're
you know?
heading towards a cliff, and people don't realize how serious it is. I mean, y'all think living life, enjoying it, but, you know, I mean, it's like we're not in a good way on this planet. I don't know if anybody has
paid attention
much recently, but we're not. You know, I mean, in this country, rules have been set up by our government that will enact martial law like that. The president could go on your text messages and instantly say, there's a nationwide curfew starting tomorrow. I mean, this stuff is just a stone's throw away from being active.
And the fiat system, the money system that you guys are so used to, that's, you know, that was never meant to last as long as it has. You guys, you know, look at the dollar and that's your God, as it says in the Bag, in God We Trust. But that note is worth nothing. You know, you're sweating, exchanging your time.
It's only worth what you think
it's worth. You know, it's not. It's like you're sweating to get this piece of paper, and a lot of you don't even see that because it's all electronic numbers in the bank account. Which, you know, all they have to do is go, phew, and all the money's gone.
Just try to save a large amount of money in your bank and try to pull it out
and see what happens.
You know, see what happens. They want your blood. They want
to know
where it's going. They want to know, you know, every detail. Because
when I bought my RV, then I took out $12,000. Oh my God! You see, I was like, it's my money, but it really isn't our money. It belongs to them. That's why they investigate. And you have to sign all these papers, and it's almost like you're getting ready to do some sort of transaction with a terrorist nation or something.
It's a note of debt. Every single dollar that we have is a note of debt that's owned by who? By our government.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like people don't understand. You know, I mean, things aren't as like footloose and fancy free as you would think it is. You know.
Okay, we have another article titled "Growing Body of Research Rejects Transgender Movement." Is Caitlyn Jenner a woman? A growing body of research from scientists, philosophers, and feminists say no. The latest contribution to the debate is Where Harry Became Sally, a just-released book by Heritage Foundation senior research fellow Ryan T. Anderson, who critiques the transgender movement on the grounds of metaphysics, medicine, and public policy.
Contrary to the transgender movement's central claim that gender identity determines whether someone is a man, a woman, or something else, Mr. Anderson said that the only rationale for determining an organism's sex is by that organism's organization with respect to sexual reproduction.
Apart from that, all you have are sex stereotypes, Mr. Anderson said Wednesday at the Heritage Foundation gathering. There's no other objective standard for identifying the sex of an individual. Human beings are a sexually dimorphic species with complementary reproductive systems that are either male or female. Mr. Anderson said, one sex is evident in DNA, can be tracked in the womb, and manifests itself in many of our bodily systems and organs all the way down to the molecular level.
Marty just commented and said, for me, surviving all the surgeries is now a lifelong journey to manage the trauma of having them. Luckily, I was cognizant at how empty I still was and cultivated spirit ever since 25 years now. And that's awesome.
Yeah.
But there are so many, Marty, that don't do that kind of work and they don't cultivate spirit. And I'm sure you've met many and you've seen many.
And she's lost a lot of friends, you know, that.
Yeah.
Because this is so much more than just, you know, what the trans movement makes it out to be, you know.
And when, you know, when the beauty years are over, you're still going to be looking at yourself in the mirror, and you're still going to have to be facing the realities of what you've done, who you are, and how you are going to choose to accept or not accept yourself. And
the health issues which you, Marty, have seen with your migraines and things of that nature, that when we compromise our bodies by taking hormones and having surgeries, we compromise the entire system, the whole of the body, which will lead to many complications. Because we're not some, like I mentioned earlier, some Mr. Potato Head that you just pull and put, you know, we were made out of nerves, capillaries, veins, systems, glands, and things that affect our health. And when we start messing with that, we start messing with our health. She says so true.
Mr. Anderson, a leading defender of traditional marriage, also co-wrote the influential pamphlet, What is Marriage? And When Harry Became Sally, he turns his attention to the transgender movement, which progressive activists have dubbed the new civil rights frontier. He took pains to direct his critiques not at transgender people themselves, but at the activists who promote the ideology.
And that's where the problem lies. The activists that have an agenda, a political agenda, that use us all as pawns. Don't think for one moment that those advocates care about you or I. They're using us. I've noticed with politics, they use, the agenda for their purpose. People with gender dysphoria are suffering, Mr. Anderson said, and as many as 41% of those who identify as transgender will try to commit suicide at some point in their lives. It's important that our response to them be one of compassion and respect for their struggle, he said, but we also need to be aware of the harm that activists are doing by promoting their ideology.
The greatest harm penetrated by the transgender movement is on children, Mr. Anderson said. He identified a 4-part standard of care that transgender activists recommend to bring both body and society into alignment with a child's identity after gender dysphoria is diagnosed.
First, children should be encouraged to transition socially if they express a consistent, insistent, and persistent identification with the opposite sex.
That sounds like a brat.
Yeah.
Consistent. That sounds like
I want the puppy.
Self-entitled brat.
I want puppy. And they want the puppy. And they want the puppy. And until they get the puppy, they won't stop. And then they get the puppy. And then it's like they don't want to take care of the puppy.
Try to live in a third world country where you can't figure out where your next meal is going to come from and see if these kids are going to be dealing with transition issues.
Exactly. And usually there's some sort of dynamic in the family that causes the child to have some sort of confusion, whether it's an absent dad or a very domineering mother, or something always goes on where
this is very much a Western world problem.
Yes. Amongst other things, the social transition consists of a new name, a new gender pronoun, a new wardrobe, and access to the bathroom and locker rooms of the opposite sex.
There's a trans woman that I know that recently, she's like 50-something, 58 years old or something, and she was congratulating herself on the fact that when she went to her high school reunion, she was able to use the bathroom that she's always expected to use. And it's like, why is that like some big deal?
I know.
It's like it's just a freaking bathroom.
But that's part of the validation. It's part of it's a bathroom now. Wow. And it's like, you're gonna go. I mean, it's like find a unisex bathroom to go to.
Just use a bathroom.
Yeah.
Second, as the children approach puberty, they should be placed on drugs that prevent them from going through puberty in the wrong body. Now, this is the issue in April of 2015 that got Mark and I in a hell of a lot of hot water with the trans community, because I found an article about a child that Malia or something that transitioned at 5 and now was presenting as Jacob and was being encouraged by the mom to continue to transition. And this whole thing started where we found out more about puberty blockers and endocrine disrupting medications like Lupron that they're giving kids and the dangers that we found in that. But activists were just ticked at us. You can still find the articles online.
God, people,
I was doing some research and there's nothing that I can't hide on the internet. Once you put it out there, it's like copied for life. I mean, it's like archive page. I found like this thing about you specifically. And talking about everything about
I'm the tranny that hates the trannies. It's like, look, I hate no one. I speak truth because I've been at this, for quite a while now, 16 years. And, and like Marty, Marty knows her stuff. She's been through the mill. She's lost friends. She's seen how her health has declined. She understands that this really doesn't solve anything, and that when you sacrifice kids, because that's what's happened, these activists are using children to parade their flag around and move the movement around and get what they want. And it's wrong because children don't know what they want. The adult brain doesn't fully develop till after 21. That's the reason you can't drink till after you're 21.
You can't even rent a car until you're 25.
So you're telling me you can't rent a car, but you're going to tell me that, hey, mommy, I'm born in the wrong body.
Jess Jennings can get a sexual reassignment surgery.
At 17. I mean, we're going to look back on this time as the craziest time ever. It's like, we did what?
It's like when people actually rip body parts out of other. Well,
They're doing, yeah.
But they used to rip teeth out of people's mouths. They used to rip livers out of people's, bodies, and different things that they thought were going to bring solutions. I mean,
to their mental problems.
Yeah.
And it was a practice that was accepted for years. The same thing as a lobotomy was accepted, and all sorts of weird things. It was seen as normal at the time. And now we look back and go, God, what were we thinking? That's going to happen with this. What we're blocking puberty, and we're operating on 14-year-olds. What are we nuts? Men are having their removed and inverted, and they're calling it up. It's like we're going to really look back and go, wow, we were barbaric. It's crazy. Third, as the children enter adolescence, they should be given the opposite sex hormone, estrogen for the boy and testosterone for the girl, to mimic puberty in the right body.
Don't forget the bloodletting, LOL.
Oh yeah, that too. Yeah, I mean, all sorts of the DSM at one point called it a disorder when a slave escaped their master. So they had a disorder. So they had to treat the slave because they had a disorder to try to, because how dare you escape from your owner, or your master. I mean, we're just and it's all run by this.
The final stage of transition comes at around, and now before that, the age of 18, when they become eligible for surgical procedures that replace external genitalia and secondary sex characteristics with those mimicking the opposite sex. And even doctors will admit that you cannot turn a male into a female. The best thing you can do is to masculinize a female or feminize a male. I mean, that's why it's called sexual reassignment surgery. I mean, I know that people are calling it gender confirmation.
They want to change
everything. That's a nice PC word for it.
Yeah.
But, it's a reassigning of a body part that is never going to be able to change. It's
like saying that we're mere genitals, that all we do is, change your genitals, and that's it. That's all you're about. This penis or this vagina, these breasts or whatever. We're more than that, people. You're more than just these genitals and these body parts. You can't just sit there and say, well, because your gender role doesn't fit the sex that you were born or how you feel, doesn't make you the opposite sex. You just, you live your life and you express the best way you can, and you try to be as happy. What we need to do is change society, the way they look at people that are different. We don't need to change ourselves. We need to change society. And that is going to be less costly, less problematic, and a lot more peaceful.
It is. It really is. I mean, it's a dead-end road, no matter where you slice it.
Yeah.
However, I mean, I was looking at phalloplasty surgery pictures, and this guy looked like he had a robo arm from all the cutting that they did. You could see his bone and
veins and everything.
And it's like this really gruesome. I mean, what responsible doctor
would do that?
Would
literally sabotage, someone's a perfect arm to try to create a penis. I mean, last I checked, penises are not made out of arms.
Or legs.
Or thighs, because they use all sorts of abdomens, and it's just, you really have to think things through here and go, wow, really? Is that?
Just like gastric bypass surgery isn't also an answer to anything, because it's like, let me see, I have an eating disorder, I'm just going to cut my stomach out.
Without changing your eating habits and without changing the way you look and think about food and the traumas that got you there.
And that's the thing, a trans woman will have the surgery and they have this vaginoplasty. Now they can wear clothing that they couldn't wear before because they had too big of a bulge, and now it's super exciting to be able to do that. But that's not what being a woman is about. The vagina is not an organ that is just a whole. It's connected to life. It's connected to Mother Earth. It's connected to the giver,
cycles. And
it's like, no, it's just not possible. I mean, I wish there was a pill that existed that allowed that to happen.
But it's just not going to happen. Marty said something else.
I believe activists getting rid of the gatekeepers, Harry Benjamin, etc., will create a tsunami of serious problems.
It has, and they did that on purpose because it's all about, come on, what was it that saying? Come on. You know, when it's, is it your turn?
Yeah, Harry Benjamin had a pretty high standard for who he was going to allow to have the surgery, you know, and if you did not pass, and if you were not feminine,
it was like nowadays, and not to be disrespectful to anybody, but some people that say they're a woman, you know, and they look like truck drivers, you know, and it's
they
like
act like
truck drivers. So they think that because they're going to get the surgery, that just automatically, I mean, they're setting themselves up for failure and a lot of hurt and a lot of ridicule. And I don't know what therapist in good intention would actually allow somebody to destroy their lives that way. You know, it's crazy.
Concerned parents are convinced that this is the only way to prevent their child from committing suicide. Mr. Anderson said, although somewhere between 80 to 95% of children who express a discordant gender identity will naturally grow out of it and come to identify with their body, sex, if development is allowed to proceed.
And they know that if they block the puberty, then they're like programming the brain to not allow, they're buying the time, and then they don't ever stop the blockers and then go directly into the hormones. Mr. Anderson said the transgender movement emphasis on surgical and cosmetic procedure is inconsistent with the notion that gender exists primarily between our ears. If gender is a mental phenomenon, why do we then have to radically transform people's bodies? Why aren't we treating the mental phenomenon?
He also said the concept of social transition, in which girls play with dolls and boys play with trucks, relies on rigid sex stereotypes that progressives would normally reject as relics of a misogynistic era.
Sexuality and gender. Indeed, feminists have been making this point for decades, known derogatorily as TERFs, trans exclusionary radical feminists. This strain of feminism was pioneered by scholars Sheila Jeffrey and Janice Raymond, who argue that feminist and transgender ideologies are incompatible.
That conflict was on display this month when actress Rose McGowan, an outspoken leader of the Me Too movement, was promoting her book in New York City. A transgender activist at her public appearance shouted at Ms. McGowan over comments the actress had made on a podcast.
That is so disrespectful.
It is.
You know, and it's like, okay, why would you do that? Why would you want to demean a woman just so that you could push your agenda? You know, Ms. McGowan had said being a transgender woman is not growing up as a woman. That's not living as a woman. And a lot of the stuff I hear trans women complaining about. Yeah, welcome to the world. She also said Caitlyn Jenner has male privilege and doesn't understand what it's like to be a woman.
One of the authorities frequently cited in Mr. Anderson's book is Dr. Paul R. McHugh, University Distinguished Professor of Psychiatry at the Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine. In his capacity as a psychiatrist-in-chief at the Johns Hopkins Hospital, a position he held for 26 years, Dr. McHugh pioneered sex change surgery. He was an advocate. He was an ally. He was a promoter as a way to treat gender dysphoria. After studying the results, however, he concluded that the procedures brought no benefit to his patients and stopped offering the treatment in the 70s.
You know, and then they crucified him and they made him look out to be like some bad guy.
Just like they did Zucker.
Yeah, just like did anybody that doesn't sing the party line, even though there's proof and there's study and they, you know, it's like, here they are providing all this stuff and it's like, hey, it's not helping. We're going to shut this down.
Marty, love you too.
Take care, Marty.
Thank you for watching.
In 2016, today he recommends the patient with gender dysphoria seek psychosocial treatment. and he compares the malady to anorexia and other body dysmorphic disorders. In 2016, Dr. Mayhew co-wrote a special report with Lawrence S. Mayer, a biostatistician and epidemiologist that was published in the New Atlantis. The paper, Sexuality and Gender, finding from the biological, psychological, and social science, reported that many of the LGBT movement's claims are not supported by scientific evidence.
Gender dysphoria, sense of incongruence between one's biological sex and one's gender, accompanied by clinical significant distress or impairment, is sometimes treated in adults by hormones or surgery, but there is little scientific evidence that these therapeutic interventions have psychological benefits, the researchers wrote.
And we've seen it. We've seen that people that have done it doesn't help. It doesn't help at all. Despite its modest political gains, the transgender movement has rapidly institutionalized its ideology at major medical institutions and research universities. Mr. Anderson said he pointed to Boston Children's Hospital, which became, according to its website, the first major program in the United States to focus on transgender children and adolescents in 2007.
Today, a decade later, more than 45 pediatric gender clinics have opened their doors to our nation's children, Mr. Anderson said. Even the Johns Hopkins Hospital resumed gender reassignment surgeries last year. The Pentagon is considering a new ban on trans troops in the military. Defense Secretary James Mattis was expected to deliver his recommendations to the White House by the end of this week, which was a while ago.
Yeah. Emily Kao, director of the Devins Center for Religious and Civil Society at the Heritage Foundation, said Mr. Anderson's book could not arrive at a more pertinent time in our nation. At this critical time, Ms. Kao said, the freedom to debate the best treatments for gender dysphoria must be protected.
Now I know the Devins Center, the
Yeah.
Heritage Foundation are staunch, conservative, Christian, but the point is that these surgeries and these treatments are not ethically responsible, and they are endangering the lives of children, and families are being destroyed over, something that has yet to be scientifically proven.
Yeah. There is no scientific proof. There's a lot of anecdotal, there's a lot of patient guided, because this is the only condition that is guided by the patient. I mean, that's never been heard of. No mental condition, no physical condition does the patient go, okay, I think I need a heart transplant, doc, because the heart's not acting, that's never been heard of. This has been the only condition where the patient goes, says, I was born in the wrong body and I used to like to play with dolls. Oh, you've got gender dysphoria. Here's your paper.
Yeah. It's as easy as that.
It's
and without gatekeepers, it's super easy. I mean, the person I was talking about earlier, about how they're like webcamming again early in the show. They were talking about how much easier it is now.
Oh, yeah.
To get their hormones. Yeah. It's like, before it was like a procedure. I mean, you had to get papers, you had to get just a lot of things that had to go right. And the gatekeepers were up there to protect the public from, whatever,
Yeah.
right? Now it's like
free
you
for
can do
all.
whatever. You just say,
anybody comes in,
I'm transgender.
let's point in the wrong. We've got the cure for you. Here's your prescription for spironolactone and estrogen and progesterone, and off you go.
Yeah.
As simple as that. Okay, we've talked a lot. I went through this last article, and transgender surgery is rooted in the idea that doctors can cure mental illness by permanently maiming patients, and that's what's being done. It's like,
I know my friend on the 19th is going to be maimed.
oh gosh,
Because
they're
they're dealing with all kinds of depression issues and
it's not
other issues.
And the sad thing is, no matter how hard, and you've tried to, it's like watching, you see an airplane, the engine starts to fail, and you're trying to like maybe contact the pilot and and they don't know that the engine's about to fail, and you're just seeing the airplane go.
They actually, they said that they felt guilty because basically, so sorry for all the negativity. So many bad things have happened in the past month. But just figure it's karma, and I must be a bad person.
Self-esteem.
I always try to make the right decisions, and they usually flop. I try not to upset people. I don't know. I just don't know. I look at where I am in life, and I can't help but think, where did I go wrong? And this is a person that doctors
give it go ahead
are going to operate on.
I mean, do these therapists not really think through before they hand out the things that they hand out? And these doctors, don't they like do some sort of mental evaluation? No, wait a minute.
Surgery won't fix that, but I have nothing to lose in the end, though I'm still bad. I would do anything to fix me so I knew why I was a bad person. I wish I was a good person. I wish I was a person that people wanted to be with.
Talk about low self-esteem. And this person is heading for the most horrific surgery that you could possibly do. Do you realize that that is going to be an accident in the making?
It's a suicide.
Yeah, but that's what they want. They might as well buy a gun,
I mean, I don't want to predict that for that person, but it's like, okay, you get your surgery done on the 19th, and you see what you have. You're dealing with all kinds of other issues now. Now you're not going to be able to run because this person is an avid runner. They love to exercise. Well, there's people out there that can't even walk normally anymore because of the surgery. Right. Months and months, years later. Yeah. And it's like, and it's, honestly, it's a sacred right to be a female. It's not like something that you can just put on a body part and become that person.
And be part of the club.
I mean, the vagina is connected to the spirit of a woman, and to the life-giving flow of the energy of the larger universe. And a vaginoplasty won't create that spiritual essence and connectedness to Mother Earth. It will instead rob you of what you have. I mean, it's like a male's testicles are spiritual. Yeah. I mean, maybe you think I'm crazy for saying that, but a male's testicles are spiritual. There's something about that connectedness. I mean, there's something called Kundalini. There's, the lining of the chakras and all that. I mean, all that stuff. And, you could actually lose your very soul connection, because, I mean, your spiritual essence is part. I mean, sex is beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
I know.
To enjoy.
And especially when you love someone, the connection that you have with that person, it's crazy. Anyway, attempting to alter one's gender through sex reassignment surgery has become the new holy grail of the LGBTQ mafia, which seems to have adopted an almost fetish-like obsession with trying to completely abolish the natural order of things. And yet, in their never-ending quest towards self-actualization, this group's transgender members in particular are actually pursuing their own demise, whether they realize it or not, by inadvertently trying to institutionalize gender insanity through body-maiming medical quackery.
It might not be politically correct to say so, but transgenderism is a definitive mental illness that requires treatment in the form of counseling, emotional support, and even nutritional therapy, not going under the knife to try to physically look like the opposite sex. This has been confirmed by Dr. Paul McHugh, the former psychiatrist-in-chief at Johns Hopkins Hospital, who's on record as stating that it's biologically impossible to truly change one's sex.
I mean, what you read with your friend there, it's like, does that sound like a person that's mentally sound?
No.
And yet, this is precisely what a group of alt-left medical professionals from the Drexel University College of Medicine is attempting to normalize by forming a so-called transgender fellowship training program at Adham University Hospital, where the school's courses are taught. The Reports indicate that the program will be the first of its kind. The results of what those who work in the field say is a major spike in requests of gender reassignment surgery. It's going to be me.
It is. It's like now the doors are blown wide open for, you know, more doctors to get trained in this lucrative.
It's lots of money to be made, folks. Yeah.
Lucrative. No?
It's my turn?
That's something else, babe. You're reading.
These are complex.
These are complex procedures. So we want to ensure patients have access to compassionate, capable surgeons who can help make their transitions successful. Of course, after you had your surgery, what did your doctor tell you when you came back?
Oh, I can't see you anymore. You know, it was like a post-op once, and I'm starting having problems with the procedure, the hysterectomy. Go find a general physician to see you.
Dr. Rimmer has reportedly already performed more than 400 sex reassignment surgeries, from which she's presumably made a substantial amount of money, just like Dr. Bowers.
Dr. Bazar. I mean, it's just laughing all the way to the bank. It was once considered acceptable to pull teeth as a treatment for mental illness. While it's certainly profitable for folks like Dr. Rumor to expand access to transgender reassignment surgery, is it actually beneficial for those receiving such surgeries? Hardly. But that hasn't stopped the political correctness brigade from forging ahead and trying to make sex reassignment surgery available to everyone who wants it, regardless of the long-term consequences.
Keep in mind that while those demanding such surgeries are convinced that this is the solution or cure for gender dysphoria, their mental illness actually prohibits them from even seeing the truth, that it's actually not. Dr. McHugh and others continue to warn the trans community and its enablers that sex reassignment surgery doesn't fix the problem, and that many transgender people end up regretting the decision to change sexes. But how many of them are listening?
It's all reminiscent of the late Dr. Henry Cotton, who in the early 1900s attempted to treat patients with mental illness by surgically removing their teeth. At this time, Dr. Cotton was convinced that all forms of mental illness stem from diseases and infection polluting the brain. So the solution was to pull his patients' teeth until they became cured of their particular mental affliction. And
when this didn't work, he continued to remove other body parts like tonsils, adenoids, and even people's colons. It was the epitome of medical quackery, and yet it was accepted at the time because enough people apparently believed it worked. This is exactly what we see taking place today with those who are afflicted with gender dysphoria, many of whom are being falsely led to believe that removing their sexual organs and recreating their bodies will make them feel normal.
And as we've read, and as you've seen, maybe even after they do it, they still don't feel normal. People who undergo sex reassignment surgery do not change from men to women or vice versa, to warn Dr. McHugh. Rather, they become feminized men or masculinized women, claiming that this is their civil right matter, and encouraging surgical intervention is in reality to collaborate with and promote mental disorder. You know, I've got friends, many friends in the trans community, many who I've tried to talk out of having surgery, who have kind of pissed off because of it, and they've had their surgery and they're still in the same predicament, the same suicidal, you know, nothing's changed, and they've had complications, they've had to have revisions, their health is going down the drain. You know, it's just, it really tears me up to see people that you're trying to say, listen, please don't, this is not the answer, you're going to hurt yourself. They still do it, and then they end up getting hurt.
And if people say anything contrary to the popular story,
yeah,
popular political line, they're crucified.
Oh my God, yeah. It's sad, you know, and it's like people need to realize, especially those people that are trying to be supportive, you're actually not helping these people by being supportive and being PC.
They're not being brave by undergoing the surgery. They're being irresponsible.
Very irresponsible.
To their bodies to do such a thing. You know, I mean, it's like, I know I know everybody struggles with it in the trans community, but you know, when you really look at it, and you know, honestly, the amount of people that undergo this type of surgery, there are not that many compared to the number of transgender people. But if you're doing it and you're older, you know, it's doubly unnecessary for you, because what are you going to gain from it? Honestly, I mean,
you're going to lose.
Your body's already aging. It's already breaking down. And instead of doing things to make your body more healthy, fit, more active, more, you know, nutrition, you know, a better mental focus, you're instead
yoga,
impairing yourself, you know, for life, really. You're setting yourself up to have to take these, like, medications and then revisions and
just tearing yourself down. It's like the article is saying, nutrition, meditation, yoga, do things to build yourself up. Don't tear yourself down. I mean, that person mentioned that they're a bad person. I mean, their self-esteem is this low.
It is.
Isn't anybody seen that that is the problem?
Can someone see what's happening?
It's just like, they might as well say, I want to get a gun and shoot myself because I'm a bad person. So instead, they're going to mutilate themselves because they hate themselves. You know, that's
all they want to do.
It's sad. It's really, really sad.
And it's a beautiful thing to want to meld the two of you into one person, you know, but you're never going to do it by changing the genital, you know, and it's not organic. There's nothing.
Self-expression is yours for the taking. You know, be creative, be that creator God that you are. Make peace with yourself. You know, do things in life that are going to be beneficial, not just for yourself, but for others. Enjoy the life that you have. When you undergo these procedures, you're not going to be enjoying life. You're going to be in a lot of pain. You're going to go to a lot of doctor's appointments. It's just, we've read people, it's like, my God, the quality of life went downhill instead of becoming better. You know, when you go under the knife, make sure that you're going under the knife to better yourself, not to complicate yourself with more problems.
You know, there's not many good outcomes.
No, there's not.
From these things. And it doesn't matter if you're a young person
or an older person. It doesn't matter when the years go by. I have a friend who transitioned more or less around my time in MTF who still to this day has complications due to SRS. You know, because there's always going to be infection. There's always going to be something going on because you mess with the original plumbing. And when you mess with the original plumbing, you're going to have problems. As you get older and things starts to shift, you're going to have problems.
But if there was a gracious way of explaining it, and we're trying to, as two trans,
as compassionate
people with trans history, we're trying to explain it in a compassionate, understanding, and loving way. We're not calling you dumb. We're not calling you names. We're just saying that the fact is that this is not going to help you. It's not going to change anything about you. Physically, you may look more this or that, but that's in case if they did a good job, you know, because most of these are botched, you know, and they have to be revised, you know, and, you know, end up having skin grafts and all these different medical, it's just really, really setting yourself up for destruction and for pain. I mean, not just pain, but pain that you never ever comprehended even existed. I mean,
the stuff we have read, and people have actually written to us. You know, the one guy who asked not to mention the doctor, but it was one of the doctors in Canada, I think, botched him up for the rest of his life. You know, and it's just the pain, the struggle. I mean, it's not all. And people go, I wish they would have told me that it was going to be like this.
There's a beautiful trans woman that was had the surgery and stuff, and there was this other trans woman that was commenting on how she smelled.
Oh, I know.
You
because
know,
it does.
It was like
putrefaction. Yeah.
funny to her, but it's like
it's
infection.
That's
a very real issue.
Infection. I had a comedian, trans woman on the show who used to make comedy about the smelly vagina. I just paid all this money for this brand new vagina and it smells like blah, blah, blah. Because of the infection you're dealing. And you imagine you just get shot and you have a big old wound in your arm. And, you know, you keep trying to keep it open because, you know, you don't want it to close. That's what happens with dilation. And stuff putrefies. You get infection. We saw green, yellow, God knows what many different colors of pus.
Whatever it was gross.
It was very gross.
It looked like it really did not look like a good job.
No, but it can't. How can, you know, surgeons are not God.
I mean, granted, there are some, you know, this person in Italy says it was perfect or whatever, but, you know, there is just, okay, but even if it goes perfect,
yeah,
even if they do the greatest job, even if you look absolutely stunning, fact remains that you still can't assimilate fully into the role that you want to assimilate into because you're just not them.
It's not a functional procedure. You know, women have menstrual cycles that go with the cycle of the moon, and it has some sort of spiritual intent to it. Women bring life to this world. You know, there's function. You know, men have their function. The testicle. There's certain things that we try to play the role of God, and surgeons aren't God. They can't create. You know, it's cosmetics at best, and poorly done cosmetics. Like I said, we've seen some of the stuff. We're like, whoa.
Yeah.
You know.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think that, like we've done in other parts of history, we're going to look back at this time and we're going to realize, wow, we effed it up big time.
Especially the kids. Those are the ones
before our kids weren't affected.
The kids, that's what really.
Now kids like Jazz Jennings has to deal with a life in which they don't know what's going to happen to them.
Well, guys, we've God, it's already 10:13. It's already 8:30. Well, time flies. And thank you all for tuning in. We had several people tuning in. Thank you to Marty and Mira for joining us, and all of you that joined us, and all of you who are going to watch the show on demand. We'll be back next Tuesday with some more interesting topics for you. If you guys want to be interviewed, if you know anyone that, you know, has a story that they want to tell, have had bad procedure done and want to share, they want to share the truth. Actually, Marty, if you're watching this, we would love to interview you. I think you have a great story, and you have a very wise soul, and you really help people out, you know. It's not about hurrah, hurrah, you go girl, transition, go get your surgery. You're so brave. You know, people need to hear the truth. And you've had your share of pain, and you have a tremendous story to share. And we would love to interview you on the show. So let us know. And we've got our Facebook, and you can set something up to interview you. We'd love to do that.
That would be an honor.
Yeah, definitely. So we could talk some good talk and really, you know, try to get people to understand. Anyway, guys, we love you, but remember to always love yourselves too. Good night. Good night. Sweet dreams. Bye.